The pros of a 4-day school is that you have local control of how school is organized. We have 89 districts, 100 charter schools in our state, and allowing schools to choose what works for their location. In a rural state like New Mexico, our students sometimes are traveling an hour and a half or an hour to school each way. The biggest advantage is that local people know what works for their kids and families and staff to be effective in delivering education.
I think from a perspective of pros and cons, it has the ability to improve the culture. And when the culture improves, the teachers are better. The overall output and outcomes of the school are going to be better if you have a more positive culture in a school. The negative downside, we really haven't found that it makes much difference as far as budgetary goes. I mean, you save on one side, but it costs you a little more in other things. So it's not a financial decision from our perspective.
It depends on an engaging curriculum and good teaching. If you look at statistics and studies, you can prove anything you want to prove. There was a study in Montana that said no 4-day schools aren't working. But we have districts in New Mexico that have had 4-day school weeks for 50 years.
If it's used as part of an overall strategy, we see tremendous gains. An example is last year, of our top schools, 9 out of 10 were 4-day schools. But those schools were doing a lot of other things too, and this was just one piece of it.
With farming and ranching communities spread out, with our 19 pueblos and 4 Native American nations, we're the 5th largest state. And so what another location finds doesn't necessarily apply to us. Also, it's allowed some school districts and schools who haven't been able to fully staff to staff up. Because if employees are driving an hour and a half to teach, that 5th day, that's a flex day, allows them to take care of their family needs as well. So it's a win-win for the schools and districts that have chosen to do this.
To say that it's just the 4-day, it's really about the quality of contact time. That's another way to put it. So I'd hate to say, well, it's 4-day schools are doing this, but it's part of a strategy of implementing others that allow you to do that because you are doing the 4-day school. Some of the federal money that comes in, if the kids aren't there, you don't get that federal money. So you're actually losing it's almost like an opportunity cost that you don't get, but you do save on some transportation. But again, the transportation is a gain for the district because the state's reimbursing that. The folks I talked to at the State Department and others said, this is not an economic decision. On the surface, you're going to say, well, you don't have teachers there, or they're all on contract anyway, they're going to get paid. You don't have janitorial staff, so that's a savings there.
Actually, it doesn't make a big difference. Our original law gave additional funds to schools who went beyond the 1,400 hour requirement, or if they were 180-day schools and added days to that, they got additional funding. So it doesn't actually have an impact. It benefits schools if they go beyond the required hours.
I would say it's in pursuit of a school district adding value to their community, saying, we are going to go to this strategy to help us have better academic outcomes for our students. And when they do that, it tends to do a lot of things. It starts building back that community trust, that community engagement. The community now is part of these decisions being made. All of those things contribute to higher outcomes.
Absolutely. Socorro School District said last year, for the first time, they were fully staffed, actually. For many teachers in the sandwich generation, they're taking care of elderly, relatives. They have their kids and they have themselves. And it gives that space to drive to Albuquerque from a community 2 hours away for a doctor's appointment on a Monday or on a Friday. It really supports satisfaction of employees.
What I hear from superintendents is they have great teachers who will go to a neighboring district because they have 4-day school weeks. One superintendent told me that was a motivation for them to retain high quality teachers. It was perceived as a benefit and a value to those teachers to be on a 4-day work week. Again, those things contribute to a more positive culture in your school system, which then feeds to higher outcomes. It appears are affected the most are lower income households who now have to figure out childcare on that 5th day. So a good share of our households are single income families. So you have a parent at home during the day, and it becomes a positive for them because they now have another day of the week that they can go and do even educational things with them. But the negative downside is free and reduced lunch kind of families, they are going to feel it because childcare is so expensive that it's hard for them. And again, this really shows up primarily in the lower grade levels.
In many of these communities where they have adapted the working family schedules to 4 days, they've adjusted to how do we make this work for everybody, not just our kids, not just our educators, but the parents and guardians. Now, a low-income family, many of those people get the same benefits of having a 4-day work day, and then you have community organizations organizing childcare, special programs, some 4-day schools. They organize activities for that 5th day. So each district, each school comes up with solutions that fit their community needs.